Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Managing Director of the Boston Globe, Linda Henry.
Oh, Boston, you're my home.
Frustrated Women, that's my walk-up song. Thank you all so much for being here today and for having me. Thank you to the Ad Club. This has been an extraordinary afternoon. It's really well programmed, and so thank you for putting it together. This has been really inspirational. And this panel is awesome. I am so excited because I'm going to be on stage with 3 Olympians. I am completely unathletic, and so it's going to be really, really fun for me. So today we're having 3 of Boston's greatest athletes. First, we are going to have Katie Crowley, and she has 3 medals. 1998 U.S. Olympic gold medal winning hockey team, 2002 Olympic silver medal winning hockey team, and the 2006 Olympic bronze medal winning hockey team. And for the past 14 years, she has coached the powerhouse Boston College women's ice hockey team. And her players are just as prolific as she is. The BC team sent 5 past and present players to the 2018 Olympic Games, including 2 rock stars who are joining us here today. Those players are 2018 gold medal winning Boston College junior in Team USA's number 6, Callie Flanagan, and 2018 gold medalist, National Women's League hockey player and Team USA's number 11, Haley Skarupa. Please join me, ladies. I cried at that moment right there. Did you guys cry? I mean, it was just such an amazing, powerful moment.
Yeah, it was extremely emotional. A lot of people were crying, smiling, laughing, hugging. It was just a blur. You don't really know what to feel in that moment.
And so this was a little over a month ago, and you've just been on this incredible tour since then. Where have you gone? So you went from, you had the closing ceremony.
And then, the next day we went from Korea to LA for a day or 2. Then we went to Tampa for a day. Then we went to DC for 2 or 3 days. Then New York City for 4 or 5 days. Then we dispersed there back to our respective homes. Yeah.
You're home and you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you noticed it was so exciting that they all brought their medals with us, which I would have brought the medals everywhere. So you can see if you can hold up your medals.
Yeah.
And in the green room, I got to see where they're storing their new medals.
In a sock. It's actually really, I guess, we don't want them to get scratched, and we've been taking them everywhere with us, and so it's just easier to put it in a sock and carry it around like that. So
They gave us cases, but they're bulky, so you can just put a sock in your pocket. Perfect.
I would be wearing the medal to Starbucks. It would just be attached to me. Okay. And you have 3, which you don't keep in a sock.
I don't keep in a sock, and they are going to get scratched. And you're going to, I think one of the things that we talked about was we want to be able to bring them out and show people and talk about, before I had won the gold medal, I never saw an Olympic medal before. So to be able to show whether it's little girls, little boys, everyone from adults to little kids, it would be
full-grown women.
Pretty cool to be able to do. So right now they're in my closet, so I can just get them and bring them wherever. I haven't really brought them out. I'm only, following along with these 2. Watching them play was amazing, and I haven't brought mine out in a little while, so it's been fun.
It's amazing. So let's talk about the path to the Olympics. Can you talk to us a little bit, because you both had 2 very different roads to the Olympics. Can you tell us how you got there?
So, I guess going back to high school, you get selected for a U18 team, and you go to tournaments, world championships, and you kind of are in training camps where you see the Olympians, they're training in their camps. So you kind of want to obviously do everything that they're doing because it has worked and succeeded for them. So they become your role models, and that's when it like becomes a sort of a reality. If you do these things, you can potentially make the Olympic team. So I guess that's where it started, like at a young age. More recently, the first camp in April, the selection camp, I was on the past 3 world championship teams, and in May for the selection camp for the Olympic team, I was cut from the team. And
So you were cut from the Olympic team,
yes.
and you stopped skating.
Yes, I stopped skating for a few months, and then I was called back to the team there were injuries or whatever, was there for a few more weeks, came back to Boston, and then was brought for another evaluation, so I ended up knowing that I made the team in Christmas. The Olympics were in February.
So you had a good month.
Yeah, it's been a year.
And what was your path?
Yeah, so similar to Haley, the U18s is where you start thinking about where you want to go with your hockey career. And so for me, a little bit different than Haley, I went out to U18s and I actually didn't make the team. And so at that time I was 17, and honestly,
So you did not make the team.
did not make it.
But you did not quit.
I did not. So at that time, it honestly felt like the sky was falling, which is super dramatic. And looking back now, it's kind of funny. And so, but for me, at that time, I didn't really know what my path was going to be. And so I committed to go to Boston College. So that was where I was going to play hockey. And so I showed up on campus as a freshman. And my 2 awesome coaches who have Olympic experience, and they were super helpful and awesome, and helped me with my development tremendously as a person and a player. And so I got invited to every senior camp my freshman year through my junior, but I never actually made the senior team. And so again, every time I went, you learn different things, and so you kind of put yourself up against, like Haley said, all the other incredible Olympians that are there, and the older girls. And so I knew that there was work to do, and so every time I went there, and I knew that I wasn't there yet, but I knew that I could get there someday. And so I think the most important thing is never giving up, because I never made any of those teams. And so then my junior year in March, we actually had just won Hockey East at Boston College, and I got a phone call, and they basically said, you made the World Championship team for the first time. And so that was really cool. It was kind of validation that everything that I had worked for the past, however many years was kind of coming true. And so that experience was unbelievable. We had a lot of fun. We won gold at the World Championships last year. And then, like Haley said, we had a selection camp in May, and I got selected to that team. And so it was kind of a whirlwind the past, 8 months leading up to the Olympics. And so I guess my main message is just to never give up on your dreams, and being resilient, because you never know what might happen. And yeah, it's been an unbelievable privilege to be a part of the national team and to win a gold medal with Team USA.
Amazing.
Thank you.
There's so much about athletes that I really admire, and part of it is that I look at it as it's living the American dream, because you work so hard, and there's so much sacrifice and dedication along the way to become the best in the world at what you do, at the best in the world at what you've sort of committed yourself to, and the incredible amount of training and sacrifice that you took to get here. At what point did you think that you had the chance to prove yourself to be one of the best in the world?
Yeah, I guess sort of in high school is when you realize, with the U18 teams, the national camps, stuff like that, getting recruited to colleges, how, seriously you want to take your career. Do you want to, sacrifice all of the, high school events, social things, to travel, to train? And that was kind of where I made my decision, was when I was getting recruited to colleges and going to the U18 World Championships, and like going to the training camps with the U22 teams, the senior Olympic team. And that's kind of when I was like, this is what I want to do, and this is kind of where I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket here, and because that was my dream, and I wanted to achieve that goal. So around that time period.
What about you, Katie?
Oh, I guess when when I was in high school was when the first Olympic team, we found out there was going to be an Olympic team for the women, and that it was going to be in 1998. And so I had played multiple sports in high school, and one of them was not hockey. I was playing hockey outside of high school, but
You're playing
that was
softball?
something, yeah, softball and field hockey and basketball. In high school, you could kind of,
Yeah.
and then, and through college, I did play both hockey and softball, but I, when you knew that was going to, that women's hockey was going to be an Olympic sport, it was definitely something that was on my radar that I wanted to try to achieve. But like these guys, I had gone to a couple of camps, and we didn't have U18s back then, but you had gone to camps and you don't make it, or you see the older national teamers or the senior members of the national team, and you see them, and that's what you want to do. You want to be like them. You want to emulate what they're doing. And for me, my first national team was my senior year, March of my senior year, and then I went on to make the team in August, soon after that. So I was very, very fortunate to kind of fall into line for me.
There's such a difference between the opportunity for the women's teams now versus when you were there. Right before, the women's hockey team took an incredible stand. What do you call it? The World
Championship.
The World Championship was actually coming to the United States, and the women's hockey team went on strike, and they said, we're not going to play until you treat us at least comparably to how you're treating the men's teams, because the conditions for the women were just not, you couldn't do it. It was not, the compensation was like $1,000 a month, and there was just no accommodations. And you tried this, your team tried this after you won the gold. And what happened?
Yeah, we tried in I want to say 2000, and we tried as hard as we could, but it didn't quite get to the level it got with these guys last year.
And you were asking for the same? You were asking for equal
We
treatment?
were asking for more. I mean, it's so difficult because during, everybody hears about women's hockey, especially in every 4 years during the Olympics, and the toughest part is in between those 4 years. What are you going to do? How are you going to, live, work, train, and put everything in that you need to put in to be an Olympian? And that was the struggle, and that's what we ultimately wanted, was help to be able to do that, and more help than what we were getting at the time. And I don't think it changed too much since, probably 06 to this past year, until these guys really made a stand and put their feet down.
How exciting is this generation? I mean, between the march on Saturday and just sort of these continuing movements that you keep fighting for. So it was a combination of having the time being right, where there was enough attention for women's sports and appreciation, and just the right energy leading this movement. And the women's hockey team was successful, and then they went on and brought home the gold. So they proved that it was the right thing to do, and what are some of the things that changed for women's hockey because of that?
Yeah, I think so. Back in March, we really wanted to take a stand and prove that we were worth equitable support and equal treatment as the men's teams. And so I think important things for us was that people are starting to pay attention to our sport, and so we want to put ourselves out there. We want to put our sport out there so the next generation below us has, if not equal, but more opportunities to those that we have. And so things like that, we now don't. So in previous years, like she was saying, girls have to struggle to find part-time jobs, things like that. Late hours in the gym, or you're working late hours at a job. And so we wanted basically to have an opportunity where we can solely focus on hockey leading up to the Olympic Games and put ourselves in the best position to win a gold medal. And so we basically fought for equitable support so that we, I guess you could call it a living wage, in order so that we don't have to also have a job in addition to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is it like? Do you think that this is going to translate into other sports for female athletes? Do you feel like it's really big hockey and there was enough attention on it right now and there was enough strength in numbers? Or do you feel like this is, a movement for female athletes overall?
I think also the women's soccer team has done an incredible job. We kind of we saw what they did after the '99 World Cup and how much that helped their program, and they kind of did the same thing. So they sort of started it, and we saw that, and we're like, well, they did it. Look at everything that they've grown so much, and so I think we're kind of trailing after them, and then hopefully it's kind of the trickle down effect there, and we can not just other sports, but just other girls in hockey. Just we're doing it for the younger generations and the people who are going to come after us. And obviously, we are so thankful for the opportunity from the veteran and older players that we are able to do this. So yeah, just other sports and just the younger generation as a whole. That's probably the goal for us.
Katie, you coach hundreds of fantastic athletes. Are you able to recognize the ones? I mean, you had 5 of the women that you coached on this team. Are you able to recognize that spark that sort of sets these particular women apart? I'm sure that most of the women you coach are qualified, but what sets these Olympians apart?
Yeah, I think we try to recruit and get the best, not only the best players, but the best kind of puzzle pieces for our team. And it's not always, the most, we can't have 25 of the same player. And I think one of the bigger things for us is kind of making sure that we have the right puzzle pieces that fit to make it a big puzzle, to make it, the picture that we want it to be. And some kids you can say, oh yeah, look at that, she's on the path to be an Olympian, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that they get to that path and that they follow through with that path. And some players come in and you don't necessarily see
When you
it.
say they don't follow through, you mean it's just the sacrifice becomes too
Whether
hard
it's,
or an injury?
maybe they get injured, maybe they get, you never really, it doesn't always work out where everyone who is, making a U18 team makes an Olympic team. And
Yep.
And the challenges get greater and get harder as they get closer to that goal. And I think the perseverance from these two in particular, who they both went through very, very difficult times, not making it and then making it and then not making it. And they have to learn through that experience, and really going through that is the only way they can kind of learn that, and you try to tell them and try to help them through it. And but ultimately, I think, you try to recognize it and help them through it. But no matter what they want to do with their life, we try to help them get to that point. And some of them it's the Olympics, and some of them it's becoming a doctor or a nurse or a businesswoman or what have you.
I think a lot about the analogies between building a team for sports and the teams that you have in your office. And what you said, a balance of skills, which is the same thing that we all look for in our offices in terms of a balance of for you, it's each position, right? And the balance of talents and what they can do. And it's the same thing, in an office where you need people who are fantastic technically in different areas. But there's also something more to the teams that are really successful. And this is something that I hear at other teams that we talk about in terms of chemistry. So you can have a team at the office and you can have a team at work where you have people who can do the stuff, but bring them all together. How do you evaluate, how do you plan for chemistry?
That's a tough one. You want to get to know each and every player before they get to Boston College and get to know if they're going to fit into our team culture. And also, if they're not fitting into the team culture, we have very good leaders that help them sort of guide them and can, they're with them 24 hours a day. They sleep in the dorms together. They go eat together, and they can kind of help mold that too. And I think that's a big thing, is having good leaders underneath For me, it's myself and our 2 assistant coaches, having a group underneath us that knows how we do things and knows that things are done the right way, and they're the ones that can follow through with that on a daily basis because they're around them so much. And the team chemistry, you need players that they're together, from on our college team from September to March, and for these guys from August to February, and they need to be able to get along, even though they might be fighting for the same position or battling against each other, but they need to be able to accept each other for what they are and kind of maneuver that, as they go.
We were talking about this backstage when I was asking you, I was asking Katie about her leadership style and whether or not she was a yeller, like some girls are. And her players said only at referees.
Yeah.
But you have a more distributed leadership instead of, it's not just you. You really rely on your captains.
Yeah.
And you respond to your team, and sometimes you'll have 2 captains, and sometimes you'll have 5, and sort of react to basically what your team needs.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of depends on the year and what we let our team vote on captains, but it also we also have input too as coaches, and we want to find the right mix that we think is going to help the team the best. And sometimes it's,
When you've been on winning teams, have you noticed that there is a chemistry component? That you just sort of feel like going in that you guys are all on the same page and you have each other's back? Or have you been on teams that didn't have good chemistry?
Yeah, you always know when you're on a team that has good chemistry, like there's such a big difference. I think that's so important. Everyone, 23, 25 players, it's 25 females who spend so much time together, you're going to have to sort things out. And good chemistry it always leads to success, kind of just knowing your role. It's always important on a team, is knowing your role, embracing your role, and using that to help your team best. And, trust. Obviously, you have to, trust that someone's going to fulfill their role, and I'm going to do mine, you're going to do yours. And, some people go through harder times at different times, and it's just kind of managing everyone's different personalities and seeing how it fits best so your team can be successful.
Have you been on good teams, bad teams? I find you learn a lot more from being on bad teams sometimes. Have you been on sort of a badly connecting team?
Yeah, I think that, kind of like what Haley was saying, it's really important to be able to navigate the different personalities. And so I think when you have a team that's having, hard times connecting and things like that, and having clashing personalities, especially like Haley said, with 25 women on one team, there can definitely be, difficulties in figuring out how to navigate those different personalities. And so I think it's really important to have really good leadership, and those players and teammates can help the teammates who are, having struggles and things like that. And so I think when you're having bad connections, that's what a good team is really good at, is using their leadership to kind of pull people aside and say, hey, what's going on with you today? Are you having a bad day? What can I do to help? And things like that. And so I think those things are really important in the success of a team.
You're both really young and have achieved something that is, a dream come true. And there's we were talking backstage about how some people, they work so hard for something, and they do it, they achieve what they've worked their whole lives for, and then it's like you just don't know what to do next. Where do you go from the gold, from being a gold medalist that you've proven to be the best in the world at what you've applied yourself to? And so what's next for a gold medal Olympian?
Yeah, I think, so for me personally, next year I'll go back to Boston College. I have one more year left.
Go back to school.
Yep, so I'll finish my education and return back to playing at Boston College. But I think a really big thing for us that we're really focused on, and that we're really privileged to have the opportunity with this platform that we've been given, is to really help grow the game. The most important thing for us right now, I think, is helping and paving the way for the next generation and the girls that come after us. I think it's really important that we take that on as, being at the top of our sport. I think it's really important that we help those little girls that are coming up after us, like I said before, have equitable or more opportunities than we have in our sport. So yeah.
So you're motivated to keep going. Are you interested in going back to the Olympics again?
Yeah, I think
4
that
years?
would be the goal. It's kind of,
That's the goal.
I think right now it's kind of, enjoy what we have and then press the reset button. So, you kind of begin the cycle of training again all over. So it's the next 4 years. And so, like I said, you just press the reset button and get back to work. And like I said before, just help grow the game as much as we can.
What's next for you?
Yeah, I'm graduated, so class of 2016. And so I guess, yeah, right now it's just savoring the moment, being great ambassadors for our sport, and then kind of circling back and seeing what I want to do. Obviously, I would love to keep playing, so starting the training cycle again, starting to skate, it comes by like really quick the next season. And there's the National Women's Hockey League and the professional leagues, which they're pretty new, so it's pretty exciting that those leagues are around to give us an opportunity to keep playing. And yeah, I mean, the Olympics are 4 years away, but when you train for them, they seem like they're pretty much every single day. So it becomes like a full-time job, but it obviously doesn't feel like that because we really enjoy doing it. But yeah, so just kind of right now savoring this moment and seeing what I want to do next as time goes on this short term.
When you went from winning a gold medal to then going back and winning a silver medal and then going back and winning a bronze.
Yeah, hopefully they don't go that way down.
But it was 20 years from when you won your gold till they won the gold for women's hockey. Was it did each one feel like a victory still? Did each medal win feel like a victory or no?
No. I think that each one has something different to me. In '98, we had never won a major event in women's hockey. So the World Championships was the major event, I guess. And we had never won gold in the World Championships until 2005. And so for us, going into that Olympics, we were certainly the underdog. And we often look back as a group and as a team, and you kind of look at the different teams that a bunch of us were on the silver medal team, and it was probably maybe only 5 or 6 different players from that team in '98 to the team in 2002. And I feel like our '98 team had actually better chemistry than Team Canada. I mean, that's ultimately who you're going up against. I think we had better chemistry. I think they were probably on paper the more talented team. And then you look at '02, and I think that's the best team most skilled team I've ever played on. But I don't think we got along as well. I don't think our chemistry was quite what it could have been. And I think that hurt us in that game. And then '06 was kind of different, a whole different. We actually lost in a shootout to play for the bronze medal. So when you play for the bronze medal, you actually win it. But when you play for the gold medal, you're losing to win the silver medal. So it's certainly challenging there. We had more fun winning the bronze medal probably because it was like, than losing to win the silver. Yeah, it was, each team kind of had a different feel to it. But I hope, these guys, obviously, I would love to see them continue on and to continue to promote the sport and to continue on and win another gold medal, because it's been, it had been too long, and hopefully there's not that long of a drought this time.
I hope so too. I definitely see it, and Ernst & Young had a study that said 94% of women in the C-suite played sports, and to me that's a really compelling correlation, which I see in athletes in terms of the skills that you learn as being part of a team, and the responsibilities and the training and the dedication and the discipline really that's required. What do you feel sports has prepared you for? Outside of the technical, what do you feel like sports is teaching you?
Yeah, there are a lot of different elements that you can take from sports and go put it into the workplace and et cetera. And I think kind of balance is a really important one. Balancing sports, school, social life. I think that has always been like something that I think I can really take away from hockey and playing other sports and use that in my life because it's so important managing your time, balancing everything, and obviously, being competitive, but also embracing your role within the team, like I said before. Obviously, you want to be the best, but you also want your team to be the best. So it's kind of finding that that in between where you can also excel, but help bringing everyone else around you up is obviously the ultimate goal. And I think that's kind of what I learned playing hockey. It's not about you. It's about everyone else around you.
Yeah. You guys are such an inspiration. You have made your countries, each of you have made the country so proud and have made so many, I have a 7-year-old fierce little girl who will always ask me if girls are allowed to do things. Are girls allowed to play baseball? Or are girls allowed to do this? And I have her playing hockey, and we watched you guys win, and that really has been an inspiration for her and for, I'm sure, so many. So thank you for not only for winning and for dedicating yourselves to really paving the way for other girls to follow your lead, because as we see, there's so much from sports that we can all learn. So thank you. Thank you. It's been a great conversation.